Hi, everyone. So I'm with Westchester Modular Homes. My name is Paul Scalzo. I have Joe Enright, partner at Westchester, and I have John Kluch from the factory. We're going to talk about something a little different today. It's the day of the set, what happens. And I guess it starts at the factory. So how do you get the boxes to us?
Wow. Okay. Well, that process really starts almost at the time you're meeting the customer, right? To talk about where they're building. Mm-hmm. Because first and foremost, we need to make sure we can get there, right?
Right.
And then we got to make sure that, if there's power lines, can they come down? Do we have room to set the boxes on the site prior to the set? Mm-hmm. Do we need to find a staging area? Mm-hmm. So but the point is there's a dramatic amount of coordination well in advance of even ordering a house that goes on from a transportation standpoint. So once you get through all that, and I will say this, 99.9% of the time we can get there. We can find a staging area. If we can't fit all the modules on site, we can get there.
So who makes that decision? Is it Joe?
The builder will go out, do an initial, and if Joe calls and says, I'm not really that comfortable, it might be a little bit tight, what we'll do is the next time I'm setting a house up in that neck of the woods, we'll run a driver by to get their perspective, because the bottom line is they're the ones that are having to get there.
So have you ever not been able to get a house to a foundation?
Sure.
Really?
Well, I shouldn't say foundation. There's been times where we've had to deny building a house for somebody because we couldn't get there. But we've never had a situation where we built a house, showed up, and found out we couldn't get there. Yeah. There's been some tight ones.
There's been one that I can think of that it almost happened. But really? It worked out, and in the end, it worked out fine, with a lot of experience of doing it. But I'll tell you, though, the day of the set is the best day for everybody. Loves it.
Absolutely.
The people in the neighborhood are happy. The clients, obviously, that are building.
So let's get back. Here it is. You take it down a road. I see them on I-84.
Here it is.
95.
We're typically going to deliver the modules. There's modules for the house, and then there might be some parts trailers for some components, right? Uh-huh. So typically the day before, and in some cases on a very large house that might be 5-6 modules, we might be coming with some of those parts and pieces 2 days before, some cases 3 days. Some of that depends on how wide the module is, too. If we're going through Connecticut and you're over 13'7" wide, I've got to get special permits. The units get delivered at night. So it does get a little bit complicated, but the good news is the factory takes care of all that coordination. We just tell you when the boxes are going to show up, right?
Yeah.
So typically, again, 2 or 3 days before the set, we're delivering the modules with our truck drivers, our insurance. We take care of all the transportation requirements to get there, from permits, flag vehicles, everything. So we get to typically we're going to staging areas today. It's not too often that, sites are pretty tight nowadays, so it's very
so what's the
few and far between.
You said staging area. Define it for us.
Thank you. Staging area is typically, I can't get all the modules on the job site for the day of the set, so the builder has to go and find a parking lot somewhere within a mile or 2 miles of that particular lot that we can store the modules until set day.
Does anything happen to the boxes when you hit bumps and stuff on the road?
Does anything happen?
I'm thinking of my house coming down the road.
Well, listen, I mean, in general,
we're testing it for wind. We're usually going about 70 miles an hour, so... but to answer your question, you can get some what are called settling cracks or truss cracks, but
that's exactly what's happening.
Very long boxes. A 40-foot house is pretty tight, and that's a lot of that we built and stuff like that.
I've gotten the question, so that's why I asked.
Valid question. And to Joe's point, it does. It's like your house is settling on the foundation, but it's settling over the road. Now, when you come to the factory, you'll see there's a lot of different things that we do inside the factory to prevent any kind of structural issues.
Yeah. Does the crane, because I've seen the crane, it's huge.
Right.
Does it leave prior to the boxes or after the boxes? When does the crane leave your factory?
The crane, when we use our crane to set, the crane typically leaves the morning of the set.
Prior to the boxes?
No. After the boxes.
After the boxes?
Yeah.
How fast does that thing go?
Talking pre-delivery.
Yeah, pre-delivery.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So how fast does that crane go?
About 30 miles an hour.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's pretty heavy.
Yeah, it takes a long time to get there.
Yeah, how many
they can leave early.
How many miles per gallon? I was told
it's
this. So
probably, I'm going to guess 6.
6.
Maybe if we're lucky.
6 gallons for every mile?
No. 6 miles for every gallon.
6 miles for every gallon. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So what I was getting at earlier, the day of the set is the great day for the You know, people building the house and stuff. The most stressful time for as a builder, you know, is getting those boxes in. Once the boxes are in, I'm happy because you know these guys have set 8,000 homes.
When you say the boxes are in, so the crane goes in first next to the foundation, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got to get that crane, and the builders know this. They're trained to make sure that we have a nice level pad for the crane. They get nice and tight to the foundation. And if we're taking modules to a staging area, we leave a driver there the day of the set, and our driver takes one module at a time and brings it up as tight as they can get it to the crane to start setting the house on the foundation. So the crane's at the job site. We're starting to pull modules up, but the set crew, the factory set crew, is starting to strip the protective covering off the modules, right? So they're taking the plastic off, they're getting the units prepped to pull the cables through the floor system so we can lift each section up onto the foundation. And to Joe's point, what he's talking about is that's just a real exciting time for homeowners to see their 3,500 square foot house in sections be set one at a time on the foundation. It's a cool day.
Yeah, I think that would be
there's actually cables that they drill holes, and the crane, there's actually the rigging, there's cable that go underneath and actually kind of cradle and pick it up off the trailer. Wow. So that's the way it works.
So are the foundations perfect? I mean, is anybody checking the foundations to make sure this thing's going to sit on it right?
Well, the builder's responsible for making sure that the foundation is as level and as square as you can possibly get it. Okay. You know, if we're within a quarter to a half inch on the foundation, we're in pretty good shape. And if it is a little bit out of level, then the sill plates get chimmed up a little bit.
Yeah, to make it even.
Yeah.
Great. So does that happen a lot, Joe, when you're on the sites?
Yeah, no, I think the most critical thing is the level, because if you have a 2-story house and if it's out a little bit and not shimmed, by the time you get on the second floor, there could be a gap.
So that's important. So the builder's doing that?
Yes, the builder or, you know, the factory will shoot it to make sure that it's all, you know, level.
All right, so tell me how this thing comes together. I mean, obviously it's a box.
So say it's a 4-box modular home. John says, you know, the truck drivers will pull it close to the crane. They'll strip this, you know, the plastic protection off of it, and you know, they've done it so many times. And these our crews are so professional. They just work like clockwork. And you know, whether they're drilling out the boxes to put the cables through, you know, getting everything trimmed so when they pick up the box, it's level or maybe kilt a little bit so we can set it. So basically, you know, the first box was typically the A box, will be picked up and just basically hoisted, and you know, the crane will turn and then place it on the foundation. So once it's placed on the foundation, you know, the set crew needs to make sure that everything is lined up the way they want it. Typically check it with the builder like myself or whoever's on the job, you know, representative of the builder, to make sure everything looks where they want it, and then we set it down on the foundation. From there, we repeat that process, you know, for a 4-box module, obviously 3 more times. But a lot more to do. I mean, whether it be bolting the house together with carriage bolts or toenailing it to the sill plate, picking up, you know, the roof sections. And, you know, John does, you know, webinars, you know, once or twice a month that basically show this process along the way and in the factory. It's a lot that's being done, whether it be reverse gables or A-dormers. We're just, you know, diligently working.
These houses are really sturdy by the time they leave, aren't they?
Yeah. They need to be.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And are the people excited when did they get to walk through it that day?
It depends. If it's not safe and we can't get the proper stairs to get to the front door, then maybe they might have to wait till the next day. But I'll tell you what, the one thing that people are most impressed about is how quickly it happens. Literally, sometimes by 12:30 in the afternoon, we started at 7, all the boxes are set and the roofs are already picked up, and they're like, the crane's getting ready to break down and leave. It's just, you know, been doing this and so professional.
So you leave the subdivision in the morning and you come back with no house there, and you come back and there's a house.
Yeah.
I mean, set and fully protected.
Yes.
Yeah.
Neighbors think they're in the wrong neighborhood.
Yeah. Have you ever gotten any calls like that?
No.
Yeah. So what else do you want to add to that? I mean, it is an exciting process, and I know there's some YouTubes you can go on and watch, right, where you set houses.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just to, you know, the simple fact it happens in one day, but think about the neighbors. So they don't have to go through like months of framing and, then there's an ice storm and it doesn't happen. Then they're starting again, this is all being done. And, we take weather into account. I know our crane operator, Murph, has an iPad and he watches the weather. So we don't pick any roofs or anything like that if we know there's a cell coming through. So, it's well thought out, the whole process, but, it's just a streamlined process where, it shortens the construction, so it shortens the neighbors dealing with it. It shortens your construction loan, payments that you're making and everything else.
Yeah, I like that you don't disturb the neighbors as much, too, especially in a neighborhood. Yeah. All right. Anything else you want to add? If not, I just want to thank you guys for talking about that. I think that's very informative. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.